Rick Dalton here, and just thought I'd come in and make a commentary on this actor I hear who's playing me in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Or I guess I should say played me. Watched some of his past movies, and here are my thoughts. But yeah, a little about me. I was a TV actor who played a cowboy on Bounty Law, and then decided to go into the westerns, the spaghetti westerns down in Italy. And here I am now, and my good friend Cliff Booth is a stunt double for me, who helps make it that I don't have to do some really difficult stunts for some of these movies. Really couldn't do it without him. I do as much as I'm allowed to do, but he does all the other ones and more. But anyway, starting off, from what I know, first movie that Leonardo DiCaprio appeared in was a supporting role in this horror film called Critters 3. Very interesting debut. Definitely would not have picked that as a spot for him to debut in. And definitely starting off in horror, very interesting. I know some other actors got their start in horror, so I guess that's just the way the cookie crumbles. I hear this badass named Bruce Campbell got his career jump-started by a pretty awesome horror movie called The Evil Dead. And I know from what I've seen with him, that guy knows how to be a badass horror movie hero. I know Leo didn't get the chance here, but he hasn't done another one since, but I'm quite sure if he does, he'll do a damn good job. And guess that let's go on to his first major film that he played the lead in, also adapted from a really good book called This Boy's Life. But yeah, This Boy's Life being the autobiography of the author, Tobias, and I forget his last name, but it was a really solid autobiography on his life and his mom and the various stepdads he had, as I guess they got a divorce, and Leo really brings his A game to this, and you can definitely tell he held his own up against the legend Robert De Niro, who I know Leo has started one short film with and is going to have a collab with him that's upcoming, so can't wait to see that. But yeah, anyway, definitely a solid debut right there, and right around the same time he started another movie with another legend I hear about, this legend being named Johnny Depp, that being in the drama What's Eating Gilbert Grape. But yeah, in this he plays a child who has a disability, and his brother, big brother played by Johnny Depp, looks after him, as that's Gilbert Grape. Arnie Grape is who Leo plays, and definitely a nice sweet drama, and very heartwarming. Definitely gotta say this, the Academy Awards, which I'm definitely going for with my Western movies, they may have got it wrong when they didn't let Leo win, because there were some good performances that year, but what he did was absolutely amazing. But then again, he did have some solid competition from this Liam Neeson I hear about, and Tom Hanks that same year, so I guess that's what I gotta say there. But yeah, it really makes you feel for him, and also really like the connection he has with his mom, and also the chemistry of him with his brother Gilbert, played by Johnny Depp. So definitely gotta say this was definitely a good way to show Leo's an actor to be reckoned with. And then after that he started an adaptation. Gosh dang, how many of these are there? There was one the year before I went to Hollywood and had to kill those damn hippies who tried to attack me in my penthouse. Thankfully they didn't go after their initial target, Sharon Tate, and thankfully she's still around and kicking, so thankfully there was that, and thankfully Cliff was able to kick their asses and take care of them, and I burned one with a crisp with my trusty flamethrower that I had in my shed. But yeah, anyway, with Romeo and Juliet, This adaptation definitely has an interesting direction and cast, especially with there not being any swords and how everyone uses guns or just other ways to enact the violence in the story. But yeah, Leo is Romeo. Gotta say, he definitely did a pretty dang good job despite some of the weird changes, along with the story taking place in Venice Beach, California instead of Verona, Italy. Oh, and everybody, because it takes place in modern times, also drives cars. And Prince is a police chief, along with some other changes too with his romance with Juliet, but nonetheless, he definitely did a good job of selling it with his co-star who played Juliet, along with everyone in his family, the Montague family. So definitely gotta give him some credit there, and definitely like his showdown with Tybalt after he killed his best friend Mercutio with some glass. But yeah, when he rams him with his car and then shoots him. So definitely got to see the more intense side of him, which I really liked. And I guess no more beating around the bush. Really got to get into the movie that launched him to leading man status, that being Titanic. Gotta say, this James Cameron director seems like one who used to be a pretty good director, but has now since fallen. But this was his last amazing movie, and Leonardo DiCaprio as Jack was definitely a big part of that. Yet once again had solid chemistry with his female co-star, that being Kate Winslet, and definitely really like the energy he gives, especially the iconic "I'm the king of the world" scene, and various others, along with his rivalry with Billy Zane. Boy, that guy's a dick. I could tell if he was that character was real, Cliff and I would probably kick his ass. We both want to knock his teeth out. Or maybe I get my old flamethrower. No, that was only a one-time thing with those damn hippies. But yeah, anyway, you definitely feel it too during his death scene. And the movie's 25 years old, so it's a quarter of a year old, so no need to try to act like I'm giving a major spoiler. But yeah, Jack dies, and you can definitely tell with his performance how emotional it is and how devastated Rose is. But yeah, guess on to another movie too he did right around the same time called The Man in the Iron Mask. Don't have much to say on it other than a really solid dual performance from him, especially with his face being covered. I know that Tom Cruise had something similar happen in Vanilla Sky. That was another interesting choice. And then he also starred in a survival type film, kind of like Castaway, called The Beach. And that was definitely a nice follow-up to Titanic. But now on to two movies with two well-known directors who they definitely brought out the best in him, that being Martin Scorsese and Steven Spielberg with Gangs of New York and Catch Me If You Can. But yeah, Gangs of New York, he plays a character named Amsterdam, with a really nice joke between him and Bill the Butcher Cutting, played by the legend Daniel Day-Lewis, when he says, "You're Amsterdam? I'm New York," where his father was murdered by Bill the Butcher Cutting, and he holds a deep vengeance for him, and throughout the movie he's kind of trying to gain his sympathy, but Bill the Butcher Cutting is obviously very cunning and sees it coming. Leads to some real nice confrontations where he's beating the crap out of him with his head, doing some headbutts among other things. And also the draft riot scene in New York was pretty awesome too, especially when they were fighting each other, and when you have the satisfying moment where it parallels to the beginning at the 5 points, where Leo, or Amsterdam in this case, boy that's weird to say, goes in and frickin' murders Bill the Butcher Cutting, gets his vengeance, and then you see New York as it evolves through the centuries from when this movie took place. But yeah, definitely really gotta say I enjoyed frickin' this performance of his too. He definitely brought his A game, and acting against a legend like Bill the Butcher Cutting, not something easy to do. Or not Bill the Butcher Cutting, Daniel Day-Lewis, why did I call him by his character name? And Catch Me If You Can was really interesting too, him playing someone based on a real life figure, Frank Abagnale Jr., notorious con man who posed as a pilot, doctor, various other positions, made a lot of money, and gets hunted down by the FBI agent played by the legend Tom Hanks, and a real nice cat and mouse performance, especially seeing how Frank tries to get ahead of him, and other tactics too, along with how he eventually gets brought down, and the surprising twists on the end of it too, especially with how he decides to help out the FBI track down those committing fraud, as he had experience with it. So definitely a nice little twist. So I guess now on to another movie too, another long line of collaborations with Martin Scorsese, which I hear are not over, but yeah, this one being The Aviator. Boy, playing a real life legend like Howard Hughes is no easy feat, but can tell that Leo brought his A game, and really embodies Howard and all his eccentricities. Really did his best to bring him to life, especially him going to the bathroom in like jars and bottles, among other things, and also his obsessions on little details, and how he focused on many different things from aviation to film and various other matters too, along with his contributions to the military. So yeah, definitely gotta say Howard Hughes definitely brought in his A game, and can definitely, or not Howard Hughes, Leonardo DiCaprio, why did I say the character name again? Him as Howard Hughes was definitely a career highlight, and boy, he definitely got snubbed for the Oscar with this one. But nonetheless, he shared great chemistry with his co-stars, whether it was Kate Beckinsale's Ava Gardner, or Kate Blanchett as Katharine Hepburn. So yeah, no matter who he's in the scene with, because that's the other thing too I've noticed about Leo, he always has great chemistry with almost all of his leading ladies and other co-stars, so can definitely tell he never phones it in. Really nice, solid quality. So on to his next collaboration with Martin Scorsese, that being The Departed. I guess since these two movies were released in the same year, I'm going to throw Blood Diamond into that mix. But yeah, starting off with Gangs of New York, definitely a solid crime film with another cat and mouse type story of the Irish mob and the Boston Police Department trying to bring him down, with Leo playing the mole inside the mob, where he basically sacrificed his whole identity as a cop and basically purposely went to jail to build up his legend and his status as a criminal. I guess his family also had some connections too, but yeah, he really tries to help embody being a gangster so he can get close to the main boss who the Boston Police Department are trying to bring down, that being Frank Costello, played by Jack Nicholson, another legend who Leo definitely holds his own against. And he also has some real solid scenes with Matt Damon, another really great actor, and definitely you believe him as the criminal he plays. And also both him and Matt Damon have the same love interest, which was really nice, and his chemistry with his female co-star Vera Farmiga was really nice. And boy, when you see him die, it gets kind of sad, especially with how abrupt it is, where you think he's gaining the upper hand on the mole in the Boston Police Department, and then he gets shot by another mobster, and gosh, it just really sucked. But thankfully, Damon didn't get away, and the lead detective who was investigating gets the upper hand on him and takes him down, so he didn't die in vain. But he did have a hero's funeral, so he definitely got a nice send-off in that form. And Blood Diamond definitely being another solid film too, where he plays one of the profiteers of the diamond trade in Africa, and you see him and his journey and him wanting to get away from it, along with helping establish some new customs for this. So yeah. And then after this, he reunited with his Titanic co-star Kate Winslet in Revolutionary Road, which was a nice, solid re-teaming for the both of them. So I guess that's all I got to say on that. And on to his next collaboration with Scorsese, and another movie he did in the same year, directed by another really great director, Christopher Nolan, that being Inception. But yeah, Shutter Island was a really nice psychological thriller. I'll have to give a spoiler warning here in a few minutes, but before I get into that, his chemistry with this Mark Ruffalo, who I heard went on to have a bigger career being the Hulk for Marvel, real nice. He has nice chemistry with him, and you definitely buy their friendship, along with him playing off of Ben Kingsley, and really believe the story of Teddy as he investigates trying to find the escaped patients, but the big twist of it all being the whole prison. It was just an elaborate setup of therapy for him, as he is an inmate, and a lot of what you think is of him trying to escape, he's actually the inmate in there, and his friend was really just an orderly watching him, keeping close watch on him. And it turns out he murdered his wife and kid, I guess. Guess he got drunk or something, happened to mess with his mind, and really messed with him a lot, and he ends up being sent to Shutter Island, the prison, and ends up getting a lobotomy, and has a nice little talk at the end with his partner saying, "Is it better to die a good man or suffer as a free man with half a brain?" Something along that. I'm definitely paraphrasing, but definitely a solid note to end the movie on. And Inception being another highlight too of that year, where he plays Dom Cobb, a criminal trying to get out of the criminal world with these elaborate heists where you go inside someone's brain in their dreams, where there are dreams within a dream, and he wants to see his kids again, while he also had his wife die, and it really messes them. And you have a really nice scene where his female protege is trying to help him get out, because I guess when he's in dreams with where his now deceased wife is, it really messes with his psyche. And it's just real nice of him finally getting what he wanted, to pay, I guess, all of his debts as a criminal so he could have a clean record, get back. And also leads to a real interesting twist where in this world everyone has a little totem that lets them know if they're in the dream world or if they're in reality. And he had a top that if it just keeps spinning means he's in the dream world, but if it doesn't, then it's real. And the ending shot, you see that top, but you don't know if it's going to stay up or if it's going to tip over. And a real interesting theory I've heard, because that's the other nice thing too about this movie, it keeps you thinking even after the credits roll, is that it's really his wedding ring that's his totem, and that in the dream world he has his wedding ring on, but in reality he has it off because he's accepted his wife's death. And I really like that theory, and definitely gotta say too, I like how the story was written to where you could really believe whatever you want. There's enough clues for it to be in reality, the dream world, even some that support that it's kind of a mixture of the two. And definitely gotta say, a highlight. And then he worked with another iconic director, the same director who's directing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where he plays me, that being Django Unchained. But yeah, this is definitely an against type role for Leo, where he plays a really truly sick man named Calvin Candy, a slave owner who just has no respect, thinking that these minorities are his property and not human beings, and also has them partake in these fights where they fight each other to the death, where the winner gets all the perks, but they go and it is a bloody battle. Thankfully, Django in this movie comes in, changes that, almost outsmarts him too when he invites him to his home in Candyland, but he ends up catching onto it thanks to his house slave, played by the legend Samuel L. Jackson. And definitely gotta say that, boy, he was a real dick. But the real nice scene in this movie is when he figures it out, catches onto it, and he grabs Django's wife, who Django's trying to buy back so he can save her and get her freedom, but ends up hitting his own hand. As I found out from a behind the scenes, Leo actually was bleeding in the scene, but stayed in character, and they changed the story around to where Leo puts his blood on Broomhilda, and just a really nice scene. And even though Leo doesn't have really hardly any flashy moments outside of that, definitely a solid moment for him. But I do also like too how he's just being a dick near the end to Dr. King Schultz, played by Christoph Waltz, where he's all like, well, we gotta shake hands. It isn't official until we shake hands that this deal is closed. And ends up being his downfall as Dr. King Schultz grabs his Derringer and bam! See the little lapel flower he has in his chest? Shoots him. Bye-bye, Calvin Candy. And quite frankly, nobody's gonna miss you. But yeah, he just did such a great job playing him, as he was just such a complete dick in the movie. And yeah, just really loved his performance. Now on to two movies that came out in the same year. And one of them he was up for an Oscar in, that being The Great Gatsby and The Wolf of Wall Street. Gotta say, playing a character who's already been in other movies is not easy, but Leo definitely did his homework with The Great Gatsby, and you definitely buy him for the character that he is, along with the visuals. Those help too. And this being from the same director directed the Romeo and Juliet movie he starred in. But yeah, this is definitely a really solid film, and definitely would recommend. And he's really great in it. And also, the Wolf of Wall Street came out this same year, where he plays another real-life person named Jordan Belfort. And boy, for a really long movie, his charisma, along with the whole cast and his chemistry with his female lead, Margot Robbie, who he would also co-star in with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where she played Sharon Tate. And yeah, anyway, really enjoyed this movie, and you really buy him as Belfort, and also along with the narration where he narrates it, and you kind of want to have the success that he has in it too, as him as Jordan Belfort, even though he's an absolute criminal scumbag and has committed just about every white-collar crime you can commit in the book. Stock market manipulation, fraud, so much, and just real nice seeing his story from his rise to the top in Wall Street to his downfall. And also scenes too where he is just an absolute dick, where he has all the best stuff, but he's still like, ugh, but that's still not enough. I can't believe I didn't make this amount of money more. And also how he had a pretty smoking hot wife, and yet cheats on her with some less than attractive hookers. So, yeah. And, oh yeah, she was his second wife too, because his first wife, that was who he cheated on with her. So yeah, but nonetheless though, you at least care for him, and at least are interested to see the story and how it goes. But yeah, he definitely gave a really great performance here, and can't believe the actor who played Mark Hanna ended up beating him at the Oscars that year. And also the real nice detail is the real life person who he played introduces him, where he's a guest speaker saying, let's introduce Jordan Belfort. A nice little twist of the audience being reflected on by him, and he tells them, sell me this pen. A nice little reference to a line earlier in the movie too. That was really nice. But yeah, definitely a highlight. But after this, we finally get to the movie where he won his long overdue Oscar, that being The Revenant. But yeah, this performance, wow, this one, among his other nominated performances, this one is a great one because he doesn't really talk all that much in it, and he just gets battered and bruised and beaten, not to mention betrayed by his friend John Fitzgerald. And the cinematography is great too, and Leo even did some stuff he wasn't comfortable with, as I know he's a vegetarian, but decided to eat raw bison meat to really get an authentic performance. And boy, did he do that and then some, along with other methods too, to really embody the character of Hugh Glass. And you definitely buy him despite his dialogue, as he carries most of his performance with his facial expressions and his actions. And oh boy, you really feel for it too, especially the scene where he gets mauled by the bear, where frickin' he ends up trying to shoot the bear, but then the bear comes in and just attacks him, tries to shoot him again, and then somehow he ends up killing the bear, but still he's incredibly mangled and had to crawl around to get back to health in order to take down the man who left him for dead, John Fitzgerald. And boy, him and Tom Hardy, they definitely went at it, and that is definitely a scene of two future legends battling each other, and the winner obviously being Leo. And it is real satisfying seeing him when he kills him and throws him down the river. So I guess on to the final most recent movie, that being what he played me in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So yeah, he played me in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and gotta say he really embodied me real well, from some of my personality quirks, along with especially scenes where I felt like I failed filming a scene when he was all like, what the fuck was that? And also some improvising I did while on Lancer, and just real solid. Definitely believe the chemistry that he portrayed with Brad Pitt for Cliff Booth, and also with the agent Marvin Schwartz. And throughout it, you definitely can believe he's me, and we definitely play off each other well. He did his homework, so yeah. And Quentin Tarantino and him put together a really nice, solid performance. And I know he didn't win the Oscar despite him being nominated, but who he lost to was a great performance too. But nonetheless, he was absolutely amazing in this movie. So many great moments, and it was a real well-rounded performance. He had some comedic moments, and also a nice line too when he goes to the hippies and says, "Get this mechanical asshole off my street." And also the payoff too, where you see him as in my early career when I played the Nazi traitor, when I said, "Anybody order fried sauerkraut? Die, you Nazi bastards." And also, oh gosh, that was just a really nice freaking scene, and how he paid that off later when I killed those damn hippies who tried to kill me. So, yeah, freaking really nice having that happen. And really freaking just enjoyed seeing that. And for so many moments, he definitely helps keep the movie interesting. And really enjoyed watching this movie. It was a nice little way to go back into the golden age of Hollywood, and also the career path I had to go to, going into spaghetti westerns. So definitely really enjoyed that. And gosh dang, really hope he gets to work with Quentin Tarantino one more time. I hear he's going to make one more movie, but we'll see. He definitely should work with Brad Pitt again, though. They had some really amazing chemistry, the two of them, and you definitely got to see it if you haven't already. Anyway, thanks for listening to my commentary on the actor who played me, Leonardo DiCaprio. So yeah. And as for this Jacob Duran, I hope you like, comment, subscribe, and peace.